In the face of a serious situation, Janet made an effort to stay composed and consider all perspectives. However, this time, maintaining her calm demeanor proved to be impossible. The risk extended beyond just her own life. She couldn't accept jeopardizing the safety of all the children. Those bullies would inevitably face the consequences, whether they were prepared for it or not. Upon learning about the incident, Janet reached her breaking point. While she was aware that children could sometimes be difficult and unkind, she never anticipated them going to such extremes. Despite the challenges she had faced in managing them before, their recent actions had crossed an unacceptable boundary. Janet found it inconceivable to step back when the well-being of the children under her care was at stake. In her professional role, Janet consistently maintained a vigilant approach, ensuring the safety of every child on her bus, regardless of their unruly behavior, was a top priority for her. She consistently took additional precautions, opting to drive cautiously despite the necessity of leaving early. Throughout her entire driving career, she had managed to avoid any accidents. However, on that particular day, everything came dangerously close to taking a different turn. For a decade and a half, Janet faithfully operated the Nashville school bus, demonstrating exceptional commitment and passion for her job. Despite her excellence as a bus driver, 4 individuals remained determined to disrupt as many of her days as possible. It was their persistent actions that led to the occurrence of the incident in question. Annie, Roger, Tim, and Amy consistently schemed and disrupted the daily bus trip with stink bombs, painted water balloons, and various other mischievous endeavors. Although Janet had grown accustomed to their antics over time, the course of the driver's life was ultimately altered forever by their next actions. They formed a sort of clique among the 4 of them, crafting their mischievous plans during school hours. There seemed to be no limit to their creativity. Janet, having witnessed their various antics, believed she had seen it all. Regrettably, she was mistaken. Kids with that level of imagination always found a way to introduce something new into the mix. For more than 3 years, tranquility had eluded Janet due to their constant pranks and mischief. The unrelenting nature of their antics was taking a toll on her. While she appreciated the humor the kids often brought, there were instances where they overstepped the boundaries. The events of this particular day proved to be the breaking point for Janet. The bus reeked of perfume, an odor Janet had to endure reluctantly. Following the stink bomb incident, the lingering smell persisted for days. Despite enduring the chaos of screaming and spitting, she persevered. Janet had grown accustomed to handling tantrums and feigned tardiness, often responding with a nonchalant eye roll. However, on this particular day, a line was crossed. To Janet, it was a typical early morning, having started her day bright and early and feeling upbeat. Little did she know that her positive outlook was about to take a sudden nosedive. As she geared up for another day on the lively school bus, she remained blissfully unaware of the unforeseen events about to unfold. Janet followed her usual route after the students boarded the bus. While every child along the route was picked up, the last stop filled her with a sense of unease, though the reason remained elusive. As she approached, her instincts hinted that something was amiss. The sight of those 4 kids standing on the side of the road, arriving on time for the first time in 3 years, signaled that this stop held a significance she couldn't quite grasp. Surprisingly, only those 4 kids consistently caused trouble, allowing Janet to identify some of their distinctive characteristics. One such trait was their chronic tardiness. However, what set this day apart was the sight of Tim holding a tray of snacks. Intrigued, Janet couldn't help but wonder what was unfolding before her. The kids appeared mischievous, with a hint of malice in their eyes, an aspect Janet recognized but couldn't quite pinpoint. Once she discovered their intentions, her perception of the children and her job underwent a drastic and unfavorable transformation. Janet had reached her limit. As the kids entered the bus, Tim placed one of the muffins he was carrying on the dashboard. Janet found this gesture odd, considering the children had never been particularly kind to her before. However, she naively believed they might be attempting to make amends. Little did she know just how mistaken she was. That seemingly innocuous muffin held the key to unraveling everything. As Janet started driving, her gaze lingered on the muffin, and suddenly a realization struck her. There was something peculiar about that muffin, something integral to their prank. But what could it be? Did they perhaps spike it with a laxative? Knowing their mischievous tendencies, Janet wouldn't have put it past them. Little did she know, the truth was far more unsettling. Janet overheard an argument brewing among the kids at the back of the bus. Initially unsure of the cause, clarity came when the child confronting the 4 troublemakers voiced his grievances. The boy passionately expressed his disapproval of their cruelty, highlighting their awareness of Janet's nut allergy, as they had knowingly given her a muffin containing nuts. Upon hearing those words, Janet immediately brought the bus to a halt. She had been on the verge of taking a bite of the muffin when the child began speaking, and fortunately, he intervened just in time to avert a potential tragedy. The children were well aware of the severe consequences if Janet were to ingest nuts, having witnessed it before when she accidentally consumed something containing nuts. The realization dawned on Janet that the kids were intentionally orchestrating this situation. Their purpose was clear: they wanted her to experience anaphylactic shock. Although the previous incident might not have been severe, there was no guarantee it wouldn't escalate this time. Their actions could have jeopardized not only Janet's life, but also the lives of all the children on the bus. Janet marched to the back of the bus to address the children. Initially, she aimed to explain the potential danger of their actions. However, the conversation swiftly escalated into a heated argument. The more Janet tried to communicate the seriousness of the situation, the more agitated she became. It became evident that the children were indifferent to the consequences, intensifying Janet's frustration. Janet's sole intention was to emphasize that allergic reactions were not to be taken lightly due to their potentially severe consequences. She stressed the gravity of the situation, particularly highlighting the dangers of a school bus driver experiencing a serious attack while driving. However, the children remained indifferent to her words, finding the situation amusing instead of grasping the seriousness of the matter. At that moment, Janet reached a breaking point and concluded that she could no longer tolerate the antics of the 4 children. Without uttering another word, she headed back to the driver's seat and proceeded to the school. However, the matter was far from over. Janet felt a responsibility to teach these children a lesson. Upon reaching the school, Janet promptly submitted her resignation. She had reached a point where she refused to endure the ongoing challenges posed by those troublesome children, particularly after the events of that day. The decision meant she wouldn't be boarding her bus the following morning. Although it saddened her, Janet believed it was the best course of action. While Janet's part in the situation concluded, the school was not ready to let things end on its side. The school administration was incensed by what transpired with Janet and was determined to rectify the situation from their perspective. They aimed to convey to the children that they had crossed a line and also wanted the parents to be fully aware of the extent of their actions. The school disseminated Janet's story throughout the community, resulting in an outpouring of support. However, the narrative didn't conclude at that point. Rather, it marked the inception of a new chapter. Janet's story was poised to reach unforeseen places, all thanks to one of the teachers who had posted the actual video online. The video rapidly went viral, accumulating thousands of views and an equal number of shares. Janet found herself thrust into internet stardom, though opinions about her handling of the situation varied widely. While some disagreed with her approach, others offered unwavering support. It was the latter group that played a crucial role in helping Janet rebuild her life after she lost everything. With just 2 years left until retirement, meeting her financial obligations became challenging for Janet after leaving her job. However, thanks to the support of netizens and the local community, she found herself able to achieve something she had never anticipated. The assistance she received from these individuals surpassed anything she could have imagined. The school initiated a GoFundMe page, narrating Janet's story, and the response was overwhelming. The campaign successfully raised $38,000 for her, allowing Janet to retire earlier than anticipated. However, the community went beyond financial aid and also contributed in a way that ensured Janet's retirement would be enriching and fulfilling. A community member took the initiative to print T-shirts featuring slogans from Janet's impactful words on that day. These shirts were sold online, and a portion of the proceeds directly supported Janet. The T-shirts gained as much popularity as the initial story, with people eager to participate in assisting the former bus driver. Janet seized the chance to retire ahead of schedule, utilizing the funds to purchase a small home in Hawaii for herself and her husband. They have planned to spend the remainder of their lives in this idyllic setting. While she does harbor some remorse for the events that transpired, Janet remains steadfast in her convictions and asserts that she would make the same choices again if necessary. The children did not escape without facing consequences for their prank. Initially, they hadn't considered the severity of the repercussions, but they soon learned otherwise. Both the school and their parents expressed significant dissatisfaction with their actions. Lessons were in store to instill a sense of respect for those individuals working to safeguard them. The school handed down a 6-month suspension to the children, acknowledging that the punishment might not have been as severe as warranted, but they anticipated the parents would address the issue further. Indeed, the parents took action, subjecting each child to a comprehensive lecture on allergies and the gravity of endangering others' lives.